My mom and I are one in the same. Not because her brown eyes match mine or the way our freckles look like they were placed there on purpose. Not because we yell when we laugh or because we have a spending problem. But because we remain silent, in fear that if we speak, we ourselves become the villain. Ever since I was a little girl, I have been afraid of my own voice. I learned the damage it could create when my mother decided to say something back to my father about his negligence for his family. You see, my dad was an alcoholic. He chose his addiction over his own children. My mom found it easier to suppress her voice in hopes it would suppress his violence. Since then, I have adopted the belief that if I remain silent long enough, all the bad would vanish. I held on to this belief when the boy I thought was my friend wanted to be more and took advantage of me. I'm not sure if it was his voice that reminded me so much of my father, or how he felt like concrete on my chest. But I did just as my mother would have. I stayed silent. It didn't matter how repulsed I felt, how disgusting in my own skin I couldn't speak up, and when I did, it only made him more aggressive. After the assault, I only learned to hate myself. The silence only grew. And all the words I could have said, I held them, echoing in my head. I developed a voice. Only this time, it was one of self-hate. I had reached a point in my life where maybe, if I no longer existed, the voice would follow. I cannot imagine how we are to forgive ourselves for all the things we didn't say until it was too late. My family is made up of years of women and their silence, their impeccable ability to make themselves small. The men, always loud and full of rage, they were always so good at filling the space that we were too afraid to use. Most of the time when we do speak, no one listens. The other half is, no one believes us. I know we are not the only ones who have struggled with this. One horrific example comes from a high publicity event from 2012. Nicole Coleman and her best friend, Paige Parkhurst, were sexually assaulted at a party by the star football player Matthew Barnett. They were 13 and 14, and he was 17. When Nicole spoke out about the assault, she was verbally harassed and bullied. They even went as far as to burn her house down, leave dead rabbits in her mom's car. This is what happens when women speak and no one listens. Tragically, Nicole took her own life in August of 2020. 4 months later, so did her mom. I do not want to spread a message that you should not speak out. I want everyone to encourage women to use their own voices and for them to do the same. When I finally found my voice, it saved my life, and I will not be silenced anymore. This doesn't just apply to the women in this room. How many of you sitting here have a friend, a niece, a daughter, or a granddaughter who you wouldn't want to be too afraid to say something if they were being assaulted? Let's put an end to the silence, collectively, as one.